What actually separates a founder who builds $1 million business from one who builds $1 billion business? It is not the idea, it is not the funding, and it is definitely not luck. It is how they think. In 2008, two designers in San Francisco were so broke they rented out air mattresses in their apartment to pay rent. They called it airbed and breakfast. Every investor they pitched laughed. Why? Because the idea seemed absurd. Who would pay to sleep on a stranger's floor? Here's what those investors got wrong. They confused idea rarity with execution rarity. The idea of renting out spare rooms was not new. What was new was that Brian Chesky and Joe Gebbia were obsessive about doing it better than anyone ever had. They personally photographed early listings. They flew to New York to meet hosts. They did things that did not scale because they understood that building something people truly love is not about having a rare idea. It is about solving a real problem with rare levels of care. Most founders fall into what I call the rarity trap. They spend months guarding their idea, convinced that secrecy is protection. But ideas are worthless without execution. The most successful founders I have studied share their ideas freely because they know their competitive advantage is not the concept. It is the relentless, obsessive execution that no one else is willing to do. Not all problems are created equal. This is the second mental model that separates great founders from everyone else, understanding what I call the pain hierarchy. Think of every product as falling into one of three categories. First, there are vitamins. Vitamins are nice to have. People buy them occasionally, feel good about themselves, and forget about them. Then there are painkillers. Painkillers solve a real, acute problem. People seek them out specifically when they are in pain. But the third category is where real companies are built. Addictions. Not in the negative sense, but in the sense of habitual necessity. Think Slack, Spotify, Netflix, things people reach for automatically without thinking. Here's the pattern I see with founders who struggle. They build vitamins and try to sell them like painkillers. They describe features instead of relief. They talk about what their product does instead of what problem it eliminates. The founders who win ask a different question before they write a single line of code. If this product disappeared tomorrow, would anyone be devastated? If the honest answer is no, you are building a vitamin. Go back to the drawing board and find the real pain. In 2010, a company called Odeo was building podcast software. It was not working. The team was demoralized and the market had moved on. Their CEO called an internal hackathon to find new ideas. One engineer named Jack Dorsey pitched something wildly different, a platform to share short status updates with the world. The team thought it was silly, but they built it in 2 weeks. That product became Twitter. The lesson here is not just about pivoting. The lesson is about the speed at which you are willing to be wrong. Most founders move too slowly, not because they are lazy, but because they are afraid to be wrong. They plan, they refine, they prepare, and while they are preparing, someone else is learning. The third mental model is what I call the speed of wrong. The fastest learners in any industry win. Not the smartest planners, not the most prepared teams. The ones who can take an idea from concept to experiment to conclusion faster than anyone else, learn from what does not work, and try again. Reed Hastings at Netflix has said it plainly. Our strategy is to experiment faster than anyone else. Most failures are not disasters. They are data. And the founders who treat failure as data accumulate wisdom at a rate that cannot be taught in any classroom. Warren Buffett famously described his net worth as a byproduct of compound interest, good habits, and living in America for 70 years. But compounding does not just apply to money. The fourth mental model that billion-dollar founders understand is the compounding network. Every customer you serve well is not just revenue. They are a referral, a case study, a future hire, a trust signal to your next investor. Every great team member you bring in compounds the quality of the next hire. Every system you build correctly today saves 10 decisions tomorrow. Now here is where most founders make a critical mistake. They optimize for speed at the expense of quality in their early relationships. They take on a bad customer because they need the revenue. They hire someone mediocre because they need a body. They cut corners on the product because they need to ship. And what happens? Those bad inputs compound too. A toxic early customer warps your product roadmap. A mediocre early hire sets the bar for everyone who comes after them. The founders I have studied who built enduring companies were obsessively protective of the quality of their inputs in the early days, precisely because they understood compounding. They said no to bad customers. They waited 3 months to fill a key role, because they knew that the inputs of year 1 echo through year 10. The fifth mental model is the one most founders resist the longest, and it is the one that matters most at the moment of inflection, the identity shift. When you start a company, you are a maker. You write code, design products, sell deals, handle support. You are measured by what you personally produce. But somewhere between zero and scale, the job changes completely. You are no longer paid to do the work. You are paid to multiply the work of others. The founders who cannot make this shift become bottlenecks. They hire great people and then micromanage them into mediocrity. They attend every meeting, make every decision, and wonder why the company feels like it stops moving when they take a vacation. The founders who make this shift early, who start thinking like a CEO before they have the title, build differently. They hire people smarter than themselves and get out of the way. They build decision frameworks, not just products. They ask not what should I do today, but what is the system that makes the right thing happen without me. Steve Jobs returned to Apple in 1997, and the first thing he did was simplify the product line from 200 products to 4. He was not trying to make more things. He was trying to create clarity so that everyone else could make better things. That is the identity shift, from maker to multiplier. So let us bring it together. 5 mental models. Avoid the rarity trap. Your moat is execution, not the idea. Solve for the pain hierarchy. Build painkillers and addictions, not vitamins. Embrace the speed of wrong. The fastest learner wins. Protect the compounding network. Your early inputs echo forever, and make the identity shift. Go from maker to multiplier before you think you are ready. If this kind of deep thinking on startups and business strategy is what you are looking for, subscribe to Founder Fuel. We publish insights like this every week. Real frameworks, real stories, no fluff. Hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. The founders who stay sharp win. Let us stay sharp together.